Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Breaking away from solitaire games and we're back to reviews. This is a review on PMA's 1/72 scale Tiger 1. This is a really cool model because it's super detailed. It's got the Zimmerit on it. I've had this for about 2 years and I thought I'd just show you today, review it on the channel. I believe I'm the second person to review this PMA Tiger tank. It's beautifully detailed. You can see the muzzle brake. Looks like the real thing. And I've got tweezers here because this model's very fragile. So you can see the tracks, the unit's insignia. It's probably one of the late versions or early because of the light, driver's port, and the machine gun, the MG34. You can see the drive sprockets and the road wheels. There's no colour on them, they're just sand weathered. Tracks are weathered too. This model isn't just a standalone model, it's got more to it than meets the eye. So you can see we can move the turret. We can see the jacker box, which contains the things to use to fix the track. We've got a few tools: axe, shovel, hammer, and the hatches. There'll be periscopes on them, the tow cables, and these are actually made of rubber. We've got on the turret, we have 233, I believe this Tiger fought at Kursk. Tracks on the turret. We've got a stowage bin, and these would actually open up in real life to store the crew's belongings. An escape hatch, which unfortunately does not open, but it's there. Or it's also called the loader hatch, actually, because that's how they loaded the ammunition into the tank. We've got the mufflers and the mud flaps and the inertia starter to start the tank if it was cold start. And they put that in that little hatch there. A little hook there to attach. And this is really awesome, actually. I didn't know this, but if you look closely, you can see there's this little mount thing here, and this is actually for when the tank is in transport. It has a transport travel lock, and the travel lock would lock the turret gun in place so then it wouldn't bounce around and damage anything. That's really cool. So now I'm going to show you some of the features. Oh yeah, but I also forgot to show you. You got the loader's hatch here, and you've got the commander's cupola, and this is the late version. Also an MG34 on a Spandau mount, and then a periscope. You also got the machine gun, and you also have the vision ports as well. Okay, let's take a look at inside. Taking a look at inside, we will first take a look at the turret. It's straight into the action. Okay, so here's the turret of the tank, and in the turret you had a crew of 3. You had your commander, your gunner, and your loader. Really nice detail there. The loader's hatch does actually open, and the roof does actually come off. There's even the what's it called? The seal that they'd use to open, because the loader's hatch would be on a ratchet, so it would open, close, and halfway. Inside you can see some of the detail. The commander's cupola does open. I'm going to do that for you. Take the turret off. And on the underside, you can see some of the details. You can see this is the fan. And here you have the light. You have the periscope, some of the tubes, which I guess would contain breathing masks or grenades of some sort, periscopes. To remove the commander's cupola, you just need to push up like that and swing it this way. And it also closes. It's very fragile. so you don't want to keep doing that multiple times. I recommend you use tweezers. And let's have a look at the inside of the turret. So you have a lot of detail. First of all, you have the turret basket, and you can see the battery and the motor, which would power the turret traverse if it was electrical. The commander or the gunner could actually move the turret in two ways. There was electrical, using the motor, or you could do it manually by use of a hand wheel. The gun does elevate and depress. You've got the breech. The gun was a KWK L36 88mm gun, the same gun they used, basically the Flak 88, and they put it on all sorts. You can see the breech, and if you look underneath, you can see the turret basket where it would catch the shells. You can also see the few seats. If I zoom in for you. There we go. So you can see the gunner sights. This is where the gunner would sit, and he has his optical sights, and he could see out of here. You also have a headrest, so he could put his head underneath to get more. I think that was just to support his head when he was doing his gunnery skills. And then right at the down there, you've got the hand wheel where he could move the gun up and down. And the commander was his main job. He could sit here on this fold-up seat, and he would use this traverse hand wheel to make the turret go left or right, or he could press a button and it would move the turret. The loader, who would be stood here, he doesn't sit. He's unlucky. He has to stand because he's the reason why the tank gets loaded by bullets and ammunition. He has option to man an MG34, and if I can zoom in really deep again, I don't think I can. I think that's my maximum zoom. You can see the gun ammunition bags as well. There's a few little details here. I only wish they would have made the commander's cupola open, not the commander's cupola, the escape hatch, the loader's hatch. I do like that they've added the periscopes on the left and right. The small arm support is not visible here because this is a late version. So let's have a look at the hull. Here's the hull of the tank. Inside you can see some of the inner workings. The hatches on the model, they do open, but they don't open fully like you'd expect them to. They open very strange actually. They only open halfway. It's quite of a difficult thing to do with tweezers actually. I want to chip away the paint. And yes, it did come battered like this, and I like it because it means there's more weathering. The hatch does come off, so don't worry about that, it's supposed to. And on the inside, you can see some of the details. This is the radio operator / gunner's position. He would be operating this MG34. And then you have the driver's hatch. There we go. That's how they're supposed to open. And then they just seal. So you can take off this main part. And how the hatches go on. We'll just turn them around. You've actually got to put the hatch inside like this. There you go. There you go, that's how it works. So on the inside, you don't have any periscope details, but you have a lovely representation of the belt-fed mag for the MG34. Okay, now let's look at the components. You can remove this, and I believe this would just be a block to stop the driver's port from getting hit. These lights are here, and if you can see the little rivets. On the real tank, you could flip these up for transport. You could also move these up as well to gain easy access to the track. eyelets, I believe these were called. That's the word, eyelets. So on the inside, you have the transmission with the gears for the sprocket wheels and idlers. I think this is an azimuth indicator. If you don't know what that is, it's like a compass. So you have the driver's seat. He's probably got the comfiest seat in the house. And then he's got all of his equipment. Not equipment, sorry. He's got his instrument panel. Or the dash. If you look really deep in that, you can see the pedals, the clutch, and the accelerator. You can see the steering wheel's connected to the transmission. And then you have the loaders and, no, not the loader, sorry, the radio operator / gunner's position. And he's got his radios, really nice detail. His seat doesn't look as comfy as the driver because he has this weird rest. You have this breech block, not breech, but this bar thing. And here we have what appears to be some sort of spare rounds for the MP40. Here you can see the 88mm shells, APCR, HE, and smoke, I believe they carry. Armor piercing, high explosive, and smoke, I think. And what's even cooler is on the model, it does actually come with 2 of these very tiny shells. Just get a nice close up for you. It's tiny. And you can actually, if you wanted to, you can't load the turret, but if you wanted to, you can actually store them in the breech. But so you don't lose them, that's why they have that there, which is nice. So they're tiny. And you can probably stand them on the inside of the tank or whatnot, but really cool. So there'd be separate rounds here, and to get to them, there would be these doors that they would slide in order to get to the ammunition. There would also be more ammunition boxes here. There's 4 on each side. You have the transmission, which goes from all the way to the transmission gearbox, all the way to the engine. Some painted rounds here, and you'd also have some painted rounds under the floor. You can also see the torsion bar suspension system. And then you can see the firewall. Really cool. So, let me just find that little tiny round. So going back, we have the round in, and to get the round in, you just have to push it through like that. And from a distance, you can't even tell that there are 2 loose shells, but close up you can. So now I'm going to show you the engine compartment. So getting into the engine compartment now, to get to the engine, I can just use my finger for this. You can open the engine hatch. You can make it stay. And I believe on the real Tiger, the engine deck was really heavy, so it required a crew of 2, maybe even 3 or 4 to lift it, which is crazy when you think about it. The engine's in there. I believe it's a Maybach HL 210 or a 230. It's a 2-cylinder, I believe. You can see the interesting fact about the Tiger. These screws here, they could unscrew with a special tool to get to the fuel, I believe. These were the covers for the radiators. I believe this was a cover for some sort of cooling system. This is a bit that could, I think this is a fire extinguisher if I'm not mistaken. And again, it might be a sort of, not a map case, something they stored flags in. You can see the mufflers and exhausts, and you can take this entire section off to see the whole interior. You can see the engine, which you can take out. I'll do that in a minute. But we have the radiators, fuel tanks, and more fuel tanks. If I get it wrong in the comments, please let me know. Really cool. And we'll take the engine out. Really nice engine, really well moulded. I could only wish that they'd have more details, maybe some colour rather than just grey. You can see the cylinders or pistons, whatever you use for engine terminology. Some of the gas tanks, some of the spark plugs, I think, I'm not sure, but yeah, really cool. And then to put the engine back, there's only one way it will go in, and it's the correct way. If you look at the bottom, you can see the peg. It has a little notch on it. If you look at the bottom of the engine, it also has a little notch on it. So the engine goes this way with that bit facing there because the drive gear shaft needs to go in. Then you just push the engine down. There you go. So now I'm going to show you the roundup of the model, and we're going to put it back together. Okay, so to put the model back together, we'll begin with the engine deck. You just place it a bit like that. Then you get the engine door, or the engine deck hatch, and you just push it in. You then get the main front bit, and you'll attach that on. And get the frontal plate, turn it around of course, and it just slides under here like that. There you go. Need to make sure that this green bit isn't showing. There you go. To put the turret back together, you just put the top bit on, and you get the escape hatch, turn it around. It's a tight fit, but you just slide it forward and you push. There you go. Now to put the turret in, you can see there's two little grooves on the side, and you just put that together like that. And once it's locked, there you go. So I hope you enjoyed the review of PMA's 1/72 scale Tiger tank. If you did, please be sure to like and subscribe. I will see you in the next video. Enjoy.